What's up, guys? I'm Jaden Stevens, and I'm joined with
Sarse Vongsa,
Devin Ortega,
Jacob Roden,
and welcome to the Mighty Miners podcast. Well, guys, it's the first podcast.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. We've worked super hard for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I mean, before we start, we'll start off by introducing ourselves to the viewers. I'm Jaden Stevens. I've been going to Shasta Union Elementary for 6 years. I've been in the Seabass Club of Character for 6 years, and I'm super glad to have this podcast on for you guys. And yeah.
what's up, guys? I'm Sarse Vongsa. I've been going to Shasta Union Elementary for 9 years. I've been in the Seabass Club of Character for 8 years, and I'm just super excited to be on this podcast.
Hey guys, I'm Devin Ortega. I've been going to Shasta Union Elementary for 11 years. In fact, I just graduated, and I've been in the character club for 9 or 10 years. And I'm really excited to share the knowledge that I have with you guys and grow alongside with you guys on this podcast.
What's up, guys? I'm Jacob Roden. I've been attending Shasta Union Elementary for 1 year. I've been in the Club of Character for 1 year. I'm really excited to be on this podcast. I'm really excited to be on with you guys, and I want to thank you guys for letting me come on as my first year and sharing your knowledge with me.
Of course.
All right, well, before we start, we've said Seabass a couple times. Let's explain who Seabass is. So, who Seabass is to us is he's like a big brother. He's like another father figure for us. He's really
sensei,
he teaches us like martial arts, financial literacy,
chivalry, life philosophies in general.
He coaches us in all of our sports.
Yeah.
Basically everything you can think of.
Yeah, and he'll be on some episodes.
Yeah, in the future.
So,
for sure.
Going on, we'll explain kind of why we started this podcast. I'll leave that up to Devin because he's been here the longest. So, Devin, go ahead.
I mean, we kind of started the podcast because, well, first off, our character club, and that's kind of how it started.
Mm-hmm.
It started with, Seabass. He started working at the school. He was working out one time, and, kids wanted to join him, right?
Yeah.
And, some of the kids who joined him, didn't have the best character, and they would treat their peers and their parents and their teachers with, no respect. They just didn't have good character.
Mm-hmm.
And so Seabass basically, put some rules in place. If you want to be working out with us, you have to be practicing good character and strive to be better and stumble uphill.
Yeah, because you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. And so the kid comes back after, not be treating his peers and teachers and parents bad. Seabass says no. And then, a couple weeks later, the kid comes back and says, I've been doing all these good things. Can I join you now? And Seabass is like, yeah. And so that kind of is how the club started. People just started flocking in after that. And, I mean, for about 9 years now, we've all been practicing character and virtue and striving to be better.
Yeah.
And it kind of got to a place where last year, this guy named Nick was, he got, this podcast equipment he was told about getting podcast equipment from higher-ups, people who were above him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like an overseer of aftercare.
Yeah.
So, or at least a couple aftercares. And he was told about the podcast, and he was told to basically choose one of the sites that you work at, whoever the one's the most fit, the best one for running a podcast.
Yeah.
Choose that one. And he's been watching us for the 9 years, and he basically said that we were the best. We were the most ready,
Yeah.
not ready,
Most
but
fit, yeah.
the most fit for the podcast.
Yeah.
Because, we practice character,
Right.
All these
martial
virtues.
arts,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
all these different things. We're very
Yeah.
well,
We have a bunch
Diverse.
of
yeah, we're
knowledge.
well-rounded, we're very
Yeah.
diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We practice all these different things.
Yeah.
So we thought we would be the perfect fit for it. And that was kind of brought our attention at the beginning of the year, the end of last year. So we started in blue mats.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
where we started,
Yeah, the
humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And we've been practicing the whole year now. We've gotten all this new equipment, new cameras, everything we could have imagined. And we're just really blessed to be given this opportunity. So that's kind of
Very
how the
blessed.
podcast started.
Yeah.
And how the character club goes into the podcast. The podcast is basically going to be about building character, practicing virtue, just trying to be the best self you can be.
Yeah.
And then sharing and sharing the virtue and character with other people as well.
Yeah.
And
Not to
that's-
gatekeep it.
Yeah.
Not to gatekeep,
Exactly.
and that's how the character club was as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of how the two go hand in hand.
Yeah. And one thing about that, we talk about put good out in the world and good will come back into you.
Speak up.
we talk about putting good stuff out in the world, and good will come back to you.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like how this podcast, like how we got all this equipment. Like we treated everyone with respect. We were good to everyone. We worked on ourselves, and now we got all this stuff, and we're super, grateful to have all this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And, I mean that. Now we can kind of introduce the podcast episode. It's going to be a building character.
Yeah.
And let's just hop into like podcast goals. The goals we're trying to get.
Yeah. So one of my like one of the goals I want to definitely achieve is to like have like guests on and stuff. And so yeah, definitely guests. Because you can learn character from any walk of life.
Yeah.
And also one of the main things that like we learn in the character club is to not like gatekeep the information. And so one of my goals is and it should be like a goal for you guys too, is to give out as much
Information that we've received.
and like stuff that like out to the world as much as you can. Like try to get all of it out. So those are some of my main goals.
Yeah, and like with that'll kind of create a ripple effect, because this podcast could eventually affect people who we don't even get to meet. Like 10 generations down the line of this kid named Timmy that watched the podcast could be affected and could also learn character and virtue because of the podcast.
Exactly.
Because of like a ripple effect, a snowball effect of where Timmy then teaches his generations there.
So your goal would be just to pass our knowledge down to farther generations down?
Yeah, because I mean, when you look at the society and like kind of where it's gotten to, where we're at today, it's not in the best place at all, and we want to help, and we want to help fix the problem, and it's all gonna start from really fixing the youth, because the youth is gonna eventually be the older people in the generation at one point,
right.
and they're gonna have to teach their kids. So it all is gonna start with making sure that the youth practices character and virtue first.
My goal is almost like Jaden, it's a little different, but like you were saying about guests, my goal would be to watch the guests grow alongside with us growing as well.
That's good.
Yeah, because I want to grow with the guests as well, but I also want to watch them grow because they don't have. We want to share our knowledge onto them. So my goal would be. My goal would be watch them grow, and like receive the knowledge that we have, and by passing it down to them. So that's what my goal would be.
That's a good goal.
I kind of want to say something too. Like also with kind of what Devin's saying, even if it's one person, we feel accomplished. And even if it's not one person, also if it's just to keep ourselves on track, like that's just a really good way to use a podcast.
Because you need reminders sometimes. Because sometimes we all fall off. And I know like I've fallen off, and characters helped me get back on track, and it's helped the other two too. And without character, it really wouldn't be where we're at today.
Just imagining like what we would like, who we would be if we didn't like have character, if we didn't learn character.
It'd just be completely parallel. And Jacob is kind of in his first year at the school. So how has practicing character really changed your way of life from like the previous years and at your other school compared to like this school?
So what's very different from this school and my old school is there's actually a brotherhood that care for each other. Not to say that some people cared for each other and that some people were essentially almost like a brotherhood, but there wasn't a full brotherhood to where everybody cared for each other, everybody respected each other, everybody was ready to pick somebody up if they fell down. And that's what I really like about this school, is that we're all together, and it's not like us. We're like a friend group, and then there's a friend group, and there's a friend group.
It's all like one tightly knit family. I think that's to add on to that. That's kind of what Nick was saying. Why we're also more well fit for the podcast.
Because we're all like a family together.
He straight up said that we're like a family, compared to the other sites that he goes to.
Would you also agree though too also that the difference is that here we hold each other accountable, but then also at your other school they don't really hold each other accountable?
We hold each other accountable. So like, say I'm gonna use you as an example. Say you're getting off track, we'll all hold you accountable, trying to make you come back on track. We're trying to tell you that you're doing bad, but not just telling you that you're doing bad. We're trying to keep you on track and hold you accountable. And at my old school, I don't even think I had a true definition of the word accountability. Not even joking. I don't think I really did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot different, and it's a lot more. Different because it's more compact in like a family. It's not like a whole bunch of different people.
Yeah, we all help each other out to
Yeah.
become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Before we go on, like Jacob, I think you've impacted this school, and you've impacted like kind of like yourself in your first year. I just want to say like I'm super proud of you
Thank
for
you.
just
Yeah, me too.
coming this far and like your
how much
first
you've
year.
grown in 1 year is
Like
It's
he
crazy.
also came in like everyone's not perfect. You don't want to
Yeah.
be perfect, but like you didn't really come in with like too
bad
many like
character.
like
you
bad
didn't come in with
character.
bad character. You came in with more like middle ground.
Yeah,
character.
like
Yeah.
what's really cool about it too is like most kids come into the school and they're really cocky, but
Yeah.
Jacob didn't come in here like that. He came in here really humble.
Yeah, you came
Yeah.
in humble,
Yeah.
ready to learn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's why you were able to learn so fast, because you were very coachable. But you were very coachable, and it made it just that much easier
Yeah,
for you
but
to learn and
like-
grow.
Yeah, like I was saying about like it's a brotherhood and a family. I couldn't do it without you guys. Like
Of course,
you guys are
yeah.
there for me. You guys have taught me pretty much. You guys, Seabass, all these people have taught me pretty much everything I know about this podcast and stuff like that. So that really goes to show that we really are a brotherhood, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do this without you guys. I really
Yeah.
wouldn't know where I'd be right now if I
Yeah.
tried to create a podcast like this without you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Jacob.
Welcome, Jacob.
No, but because that kind of goes with like not gatekeeping, like Jaden said, how you were able to go because we didn't gatekeep the
Yeah.
knowledge that we know.
Exactly.
That kind of parallels to like the newer generations. How I was saying, we can't gatekeep this knowledge. Like we really got to share it to these newer generations, and not even just to the newer generations, but to the older generations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to help them and keep them on track as too.
Yeah.
But,
And something like really special like about this podcast is because most podcasts that you see,
Middle-aged men.
yeah, it's like usually older people, and they're giving out good knowledge and stuff. But us, we're
we're
not-
in the
We're in the
same
same-
demographic.
yeah,
We're in Gen Z.
yeah, and like we're in like more of like a worse society nowadays, but we're still out here. We're 14 years old and you're 12, and we're giving out like very good information. That's I think that's very important to see that in today, like nowadays.
Today's society, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
today's
'cause
society.
also-
Yeah,
Because it
'cause-
kind of just shows that there's still, some light.
Yeah, there's still a chance for a
Yeah.
bright future.
Of course.
And when like you hear the word wisdom, you always think like an older person.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
gray
Like,
hair.
long gray beard,
Yeah.
gray hair.
Yeah.
But that's in a sense that's not really wise because
You don't want to wait.
Yeah, it's kind of unwise to wait to be wise.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying it's bad, because then you still eventually find, wisdom and joyfulness. But I think it's definitely better that it comes from the younger demographic, because then we can also connect to the viewers.
Exactly.
We'll have an easier time.
Yeah.
Because, like, the older generations and the newer generations aren't really connected. So this
Yeah.
podcast, I guess another goal is also to connect
Yeah.
older generations and younger generations
Fill that gap.
together.
Yeah.
Fill the
Yeah.
gap.
Because like also like a lot of like younger like Gen Z kids, they're kind of rude to like
Their
like,
elders.
the boomer generation.
Oh, yeah.
I think that also kind of comes from not being able to connect, not knowing how to connect.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's kind of why.
I don't
But
really
I-
know what their elders have done for them.
Yeah, they don't
And-
know who built the roads, which
Yeah.
and essentially what that means, like when you look at Rome, how Rome fell, it's the newer generations not knowing who built the roads
Yeah.
and not knowing who started Rome and who did the dirty work, the hard work,
Yeah.
the blue
Yeah.
collar type of work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where the newer generations are at today,
Yeah.
where they don't know who fought in these wars to get us freedom. And
Yeah. Like you were saying, that's a goal, is to just bring the whole community together
Yeah.
to where that the younger generations know who built the roads,
Yeah.
but also that the younger generation respects the people who built the roads. 'Cause
Yeah,
a lot of the younger generation don't respect the boomers, as people would say, or the people who built the roads.
Yeah, exactly.
And like when we talk about like the young generation, we're not like, I don't want to say we're bashing them, but like
And we're not saying we're better than
But
them,
we-
'cause
we
we're in
can't-
the same generation.
we can't be we can't act like we're perfect or like we're a good generation. Like you have to know that it's like, times are like not good right now, but like you gotta see that. And like I was saying earlier, like there's still some light with these, because we're younger kids, and there's still light for things to be good again.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're kind of like talking why we're doing this podcast. Something I want to add on to like our younger generation, like a statistic, is the depression level, which is super high.
Yeah.
And that, to us, that it sucks.
Yeah, and actually, to add on, the depression rate, it's not just super high, it's the highest it's been of any other generation in the past.
It went from like...
It just sucks to see that.
Yeah, it went from like generation to generation. They may have like rose or... they may have rose up or lessened. Declined. And
just this one just skyrocketed compared to any of the other ones.
If you really like pay attention and do some deep digging, like you see like we have social medias, we have Instagram, we got TikTok, we got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got all these things, and those platforms were built
play into it.
They definitely play into it. But
part.
they were built for they were built for good things.
Oh yeah, they were built to help better this generation.
Yeah.
Because technology was never inherently meant to,
destroy,
cause a decline in a society or destroy society.
Yeah.
But it's people not knowing who built the roads and not knowing how to correctly use these things. Is what's happening.
Yeah, they don't know what it's correctly used for, and they're just using it to post people doing dances or trends, but
just doing stupid things.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes. We can't really
bash anybody.
We can't bash them because we're in the same demographic.
Yeah.
But we're not saying we're not bashing them, but we're not saying we're better than them either. Because we're still growing and we're on the path of character. And trying to progress and be better. Because we all have pitfalls. We all stumble. But I think a difference is we're stumbling uphill.
Yeah, we should talk about that actually. So we've been practicing character for quite a while, and we know that there's gonna be pitfalls because you can't try to learn character and be like, oh,
everything's gonna be smooth uphill.
Yeah, no, that's not.
That's a complete opposite.
Yeah. You have to know that there's gonna be pitfalls, but then you have to love the pitfalls. Isn't it love thy fate?
Love thy fate. Love thy fate.
Love thy fate. Yeah, you gotta love the pitfalls that happen to you because it's a part of life. Life's not fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's not at all.
Not at all.
But that's why you really start to love and embrace life.
Yeah. You really start, like being grateful for the things that you have.
Yeah. Rather than wanting more.
Yeah.
You start to. Be grateful for the things that you do have, and if you lost those things, how sad you'd be if you didn't have them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important to cherish it right now.
Yeah, cherish it in the moment. But so now we've kind of talked about the goals and stuff.
Yeah.
And why? Let's talk about why we talk about why we're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Why should you build character?
Yeah.
I think that's a big question.
Well, what?
Go ahead.
So why you should build character is because it's kind of an ethical crime not to build character once you know it's a good thing for you.
Yeah.
So what I mean by ethical crime, for those of you who don't know, an ethical crime is say you know what character is, right? So you know it's a good thing, and you're not practicing it. It then becomes an ethical crime because you know it's good for you, but you're not doing it.
You're not practicing. And then it's also an ethical crime in the sense you not practicing character could affect people down the generations.
Yeah. It's just going to create a snowball effect.
Yeah.
We talked about depression rates earlier. I think depression rates are another huge reason of why you should practice character.
Yeah.
You see in like the first Renaissance, like before the first Renaissance was like the Dark Ages and stuff.
Yeah.
People were depressed, like war. There was all this bad things happening in society, but depression was definitely a huge thing that was going on. And practicing character, reverting back to these old ways, these old life philosophies, is kind of what got them out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you've seen it like in the past of what people have done to, get out of these bad times, why wouldn't you just do it again?
Yeah.
So, and then it kind of goes to like, character is thy fate, like the Stoics say. Not practicing character will like dictate how your life goes. So if you're not practicing character, well, that's the reason why you're probably depressed or you're not happy and you're not joyful in life.
Yeah. So, because I don't really, talk too much. How has character helped you, like in your life?
well, I'll kind of say like a main reason characters really help me. I would say character has really helped me find my true self. So what I mean by that is when I was little and well actually still a little bit earlier too, I would follow like a lot of trends and I would follow and they weren't good trends either. They were bad trends.
Yeah.
And also like that's how characters just found me my true self because when I was following those trends like. That just made me a sheep. I wasn't following them for the good reason. I wasn't following them because they were good trends. I was just following them because other people were doing it.
Yeah.
So I really think that character has just helped me find my true self and of course I still follow trends, but I mean they're not bad trends though. They're really good reasons.
They're
Yeah.
good
And
trends.
you have good reasons to follow these good trends.
Yeah.
Which then inherently makes you not really a sheep, but rather than like, you just like this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's why you do it.
I think it was Jane who was talking about ethical crimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, my reason on why you should build character kind of goes with you. I feel like if you know what character is, and it's essentially, well, what it boils down to is doing the right thing when no one's looking. And I feel like, why wouldn't you want to practice that?
Yeah.
I feel like if you know what that is, obviously if you don't, then we can't bash you, but like, not even bashing, but if you know what it is, I don't feel like there's a reason for why you wouldn't practice character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because, I mean, then you have to look at, I'll just start it off, there was, the Greek way of stoicism and, like, building character, and then there was the Roman way of, like, stoicism and building character.
Yeah.
The Greeks believed to, like, practice stoicism, build character, and follow virtue just to do it.
Just
Not
because
for
it was
profit.
virtuous.
Just
Yeah.
it was virtuous.
Yeah.
But, and that's partly because, like, the Greeks, like, Spartans, like, they didn't really have a lot of people in there.
Yeah,
They weren't
so
a
little
huge
city
community. It was
state.
much easier for them to do that.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like Rome in the sense there's so many of us.
Yeah.
It's going to be way harder to connect and really
Yeah.
Yeah.
get on, like, another level with the different people.
Yeah.
So, we have to kind of do it the same way. Like, the Romans, build character
Yeah.
and follow virtue and practice stoicism.
Yeah.
And it's gonna boil down to follow like the byproducts that you'll get out of
Yeah.
building character.
Yeah.
The Romans would say, practice character so you're not depressed.
Mhm.
So you find joy in life. So you
Yeah.
can get to this place of like harmony and tranquility, essentially. And so that's kind of what we have to do as well. We have to. You're not gonna be depressed when you practice character. You're gonna find
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah.
And you're also gonna get these other byproducts like you're gonna get way stronger.
Yeah.
You're gonna become way faster. You're gonna become
Right.
better
Yeah.
as a person in general. You're gonna
Yeah.
become a better peer,
Yeah.
a better son, a better father, a better sister.
manners. Yeah.
You're gonna get better manners.
Yeah.
You're gonna just get better in general because
Yeah.
character is full circle.
Yeah.
So there's different pieces of a pie.
Yeah. And then
There's like balance is one of them.
yeah. And then also
Hard work.
Yeah.
Discipline.
All that other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
all that stuff kind of goes into virtue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you just practice this, you'll start to get better in all these different categories.
Right. And then also the journey. Let's talk
Oh.
about that. So the journey, we kind of said this earlier. Like you have to know that there's gonna be pitfalls, but the journey, you gotta like kind of like Amori Fati love the pitfalls. The journey is gonna be
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have pitfalls, and there's gonna be, bad things that happen in your life, but you just gotta stumble uphill.
Yeah, to speak on pitfalls, I know character kind of helped me get out of my big pitfall last year. Like last year especially,
Mhm.
I was like, I got to the top of the mountain
Yeah.
and I stopped like working hard, and my character took a huge dip. And
Yeah.
so this all this year, I've just tried to like lock in and practice character.
Yeah.
And I feel like practicing character really got me out of the huge pitfall that I fell into.
And that's another thing. A lot of kids nowadays in today's society, they want the short-term gratification.
Yeah.
So they want it instantly to where it's just straight uphill, no pitfalls. And that's what they want because they want the short-term gratification. And then there's the people that want the long-term.
They don't need the short-term.
Yeah, they don't need the
They're
long-
fine, and they have the patience to work for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long-term gratification.
And
They have the discipline.
You should be doing it for no prize.
Yeah, you should be
That's-
doing it for no prize.
You should.
But at the very least, do it for these other byproducts that are still good for you and help
Yeah.
you in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like I was saying about short-term gratification, a lot of people need the gratification that they're doing better than somebody else. But what I like what I like to kind of like look back like at if I need it sometimes is there's always the person that wants to go just straight uphill, but then there's also the person that's going to take 2 steps up, 1 step down.
Yeah.
Either you could go either the really fast way, which isn't really going to be the right way in my opinion at least, and
Yeah.
then there's going to be the a better way, which is 2 steps uphill, 1 step down. It's going to be a lot slower, but eventually you will make it uphill.
But that
Yeah,
saying
and-
slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and you'll just love getting to the top of the hill that much more,
Yeah.
and you'll love the journey to the point where you're gonna keep climbing.
Because it
When you-
required effort.
Yeah, when you get this idea of short-term gratification, when you just speed right up the hill, and then you're definitely gonna get to the spot where you like stop, you plateau,
Yeah.
and you don't really want to work harder
Yeah.
because that wasn't like the journey wasn't hard. There's no
Yeah.
point to do the journey.
Yeah.
You just kind of felt like you're there at the top.
Yeah, it didn't really require effort, and
It
then
didn't require effort, so you don't feel
Any joy.
You don't feel
Yeah.
any joy that you got to this place.
Yeah.
But when you do, when you have the patience and the hard work and the discipline, so take the longer route, you kind of fall in love with like the journey
It's-
and
Yeah.
working
it's gonna feel
hard.
like even though you went the same way, like you're still going to the same place, it's gonna feel like you came a lot longer and a lot better of a way to the uphill or to wherever you're trying to go to.
And
Yeah.
there's like
essentially.
so much more virtue and the character and character building and character development that you'll get out of taking the longer route.
Yeah. And like sometimes like I like to say this, if you essentially make the journey longer, then you're gonna like the destination just that
There's
much
a lot
more.
more, yeah.
That
Yeah,
much more.
and then to go with that as well, I know David Goggins says this all the time, and other just people in the military say it all the time. It's embrace the suck,
Embrace the suck. Yeah, that's
because
big.
the journey isn't easy at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you really just have to embrace that journey,
Yeah.
so you'll love it, the destination that much better, as you were saying.
Yeah. No. You gotta know what's coming.
Yeah. And I mean, we talked about like the byproducts of getting stronger, being able to protect more people, and just getting better as a person.
Yeah.
Like no one wakes up and says they don't want to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to just become better in general?
Right.
Yeah.
Because then, like Jaden was saying, it'd be an ethical crime.
Because it'd be
Yeah.
an ethical crime not to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
I
don't
mean-
really feel like a lot of people don't want to practice character. I feel like it's
don't have the
discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah,
they
I
don't
fe-
have like the
Oh, yeah.
resources. They don't have the discipline or the resources.
You know,
Yeah,
I
they
know
don't-
that.
go ahead.
No, you can go. You were
They
talking.
don't have the discipline to keep going and drive forward
Yeah.
every day. As to the person who does that discipline, even when times are tough and they're not going to want to, they'll keep going.
Yeah, I know that Cyrus likes to talk about the difference between motivation and discipline. For the people who don't know, can you go ahead and explain discipline and motivation?
Yeah, so I'll basically explain that. Yeah, so basically, here, I'll kind of use an example. So, let's say, you wake up one day and, you're really motivated to go to the gym. And the difference between that is, motivation is only temporary and that only lasts for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
'Cause you
then
get
one
motivation
day you're
from,
going
like,
to
a
wake up
song,
and
right?
you're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, I don't really feel like going to the gym. But, discipline's going to get in that way and be like, no, I'm going to go to the gym. I want to get stronger.
Yeah.
And even if I don't feel like it, I'm just going to go anyway.
Yeah.
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 And it takes like more time to, kind of like level up your discipline level.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just
Yeah.
put it that way.
I think discipline is it's the long-term gratification, while motivation is the more short-term gratification in this sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think discipline is a huge reason. I think that's the biggest reason of why people don't practice character.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
And then there's also, the resources. So people are probably asking like, well, how do you build character?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
how you can build character. I mean, there's multiple ways how you can build character. You can build character by, like the way you talk to people, the way like.
I mean, it's
character if you see a wallet that someone dropped in the ground, don't keep it. You give it back to that person.
Yeah.
That's just one way.
Character is like it's always time to build character. You can build character literally any moment of the day. It's how you respond and like react to things that happen.
Yeah.
And,
That's how you're exactly saying it. That's how I feel like that's how I build character at least, and I feel like it's a good way too. Is how you respond to anything and everything, not just like you could respond to character. You could build character by responding to like an argument, but not even just that. Even just like having a little conversation. You could still build a character from that because it's how you take it. You can take it in a good way, a bad way. You can take it in a good way to build character, or you can take it in a bad way as nothing just happened, or you can take it as a good way to build character, like you just had a good conversation. You could take character.
Like, you really just you start to analyze things. And
Yeah.
You start to view these ways differently, and
Yeah.
you can really see how you could have done better in that in that instant.
Yeah.
To build character.
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, I guess like now we're kind of talking about like some of our favorite ways to build character.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite ways to build character. I mean, I like building character like through a bunch of different ways, but I would say definitely the one that applies to me the most is the perspective on things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean by
good.
that is if you have something bad going at home, or
Just in life in general.
just in life in general, like you could there's two different perspectives you can take on it. You could be like, say something bad going on at home, like between your parents or something like that. Like an example, there's two ways you can look at it. The first way, which is the negative way, which is, oh, my parents are arguing. I'm going to be sad now, and I'm going to go take it out on my friends at school the next day, and I'm not going to become a better person from it. The positive way is being like, well, this sucks, and I don't want my kids to go through this, and so I'm going to learn from this, and take what's good and discard what's bad, which was something that Bruce Lee said.
Yeah.
There's yin and yang. There's good in the bad, and there's bad in the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this case, there's good and the bad. The bad is the parents fighting, but what's the good? You learn.
The good is
you learning that
You can
you
learn
learning
how to
be different.
Yeah.
And not act like that.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
learn how
I
to not treat your future wife or girlfriend like that in the future.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite ways to build character is changing
Yeah.
perspective. On
Yeah,
things.
I don't really know who said it. If you guys do, can you please remind me?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like somebody who said it, but I hear it a lot. It's when in doubt, zoom out.
That's kind of like our own thing.
That's just
that
like
we-
Okay.
that's just
Yeah.
like a saying.
I couldn't know. I didn't really know if anybody said it or.
Yeah.
but I like
something
to.
that we say in martial arts
Yeah.
is when in doubt, kick it out, and so it kind
The
of
same type of meaning.
yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Just go back to character. Fall back on characters. Fall back on yourself and what you know how to do and what you've been doing your whole life. Practicing character.
Yeah.
I would say,
Actually-
or ego.
I actually have a perfect story to go along with Jaden's. Jaden's was changing perspective, and he kind of brought up parents fighting. A story that Seabass he showed us a video on it, and he used to tell it to us all the time when we were little kids. It was, two twin brothers, right?
Oh yeah.
Their dad, is an alcoholic. He abuses alcohol. He beats them, does all his horrible things, beats the mom, and just does bad things in general, right?
Yeah.
The kids, they grow up, they watch him their whole lives, and somebody walks up to these kids. They ask one of the two brothers, why do you act the way you do today? And he says, well, I watched my dad drink alcohol all the time, do all these horrible things, so that's why I do it. I now
So that's the
drink
negative-
and
that's the
do all
negative
these
way.
bad things.
Yeah.
And that's not the right perspective to look at it. You should be looking at it from, because then the person asks the other brother, and he says, well, I mean, I act the way I do because my dad did all these bad things when I was growing up, and he has a family. He treats his kids very well, treats his wife very well. Is able to provide and does all these good things. And that's a good perspective. That's how you want to start looking at, bad things that happen in your life, to try and change them so you can still, because bad things, and it's like accordance to nature, that's like destiny. That's gonna happen to you. Bad things will happen to you. It's how you change your perspective and respond to them
That's,
to be the best you can be.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of what Jaden said. Take what's good, discard what's bad, like Bruce Lee said.
That's perfect.
Yeah, you could either let it judge that your dad was an alcoholic. You could let it judge that you're gonna be an alcoholic, or you could let it judge that you're not gonna be an alcoholic.
And then you're gonna be better.
Yeah.
And
Sarge was talking. Sorry,
no, go.
So I was talking about discipline. How does discipline go? How does practicing discipline build character?
Yeah, so basically, learning how to be disciplined builds character because, well, obviously, you're not always going to be motivated to do things, but through discipline, being disciplined to, get those things done. And here, I'll just kind of use a little example. Let's say you got some schoolwork that needs to be done and it has a certain due date. You're not going to be really motivated to do it, but through discipline, it's going to help you, get those things done and get them done on time. And from there, if I relate the way broadly as Miyamoto Musashi says, it can relate to a lot of other things that require discipline.
Yeah, kind of like the gym thing that you said earlier.
Yeah, like working out, like practicing football, right? That takes discipline. So apply that same discipline aspect into doing your work or doing your laundry or doing these chores.
Doing something that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
and just apply that way of life into another thing you do in life.
Yeah, like if your mom tells you get off the game.
Yeah, if your mom tells you to get off the game.
You gotta get off that.
You gotta get off the game. You gotta do these other things in life that are actually gonna benefit you in the long run.
Right. And this perspective thing, it all comes from a strong mindset. So something that kind of going back to the generation real quick, this generation, one of the main things it needs is a strong mindset, which we don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ways also kind of goes into that, getting a strong mindset. I think a way to get a good, strong, and build mental fortitude and just practice characters through life philosophies. Seabass has had us reading these different books on Bushido, Stoicism, chivalry, Taoism, and all these different other.
My favorite book actually that we have on the table right here is The Five Rings.
Five Rings, that's a really good one. Miyamoto Musashi, as I just quoted. But I think through these life philosophies, Seabass having us read these books has really helped us grow.
100%.
And,
100%.
It's taught us different life lessons and all these things. And we read the books, but we didn't just read them. We really internalized them and applied them to your life.
Exactly.
I think that's another thing. You have to be able to apply these character rules. Seabass gives us character talks every single day, multiple in a day, in fact.
Yeah.
And you have to actually apply.
Yeah.
Because apply the rules and, you have to apply the way.
Yeah, and he's really good at explaining what he teaches.
Yeah, 100%. And
if we're ever curious of something he said and we don't really understand it, then he really goes deeper and he's really
He
good
really
at
articulates it. Yeah.
He's really good at articulating.
And how do you learn how to articulate? You read. You read and you watch Jordan Peterson and Carl Jung.
Same
Those people are very good at articulating.
Yes. Same thing if you want to become a better painter, you paint.
You paint.
Yeah.
If you want to become a better architect, you build houses.
Yeah.
And I think Miyamoto Musashi also related the way really well on that. He says if you were good at painting, you'd be good at you could be good at fighting. Just applying discipline in these different aspects in life. You apply the same different character aspects of painting to architecture.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to learn to become a good architect.
Yeah. Especially dedication.
Especially dedication.
If you're dedicated to something, if you're dedicated to building a new house, but you want to maybe be dedicated to painting, a wall.
The Mona Lisa.
Yeah, the Mona Lisa. Then you got to take that dedication that you have to building a house, and you got to translate it over to painting.
Yeah. But and then people are like, "Oh, I'm not good at reading. I don't want to read." Well, you play football, right? Apply what you do in football and apply it to reading. If you don't like reading, I'm sure you didn't like football at one point until you really got into football and started practicing football. Then you really began to love that sport. So I think that's kind of how we've all gotten to love books. We didn't want to read in the beginning. Not at all.
No.
It was a struggle to get us to read.
No, when I first got here, Seabass gave me a book, and my first book I read, it was Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. I was like, why would I want to do extra reading? I have to read in class for homework as well, and schoolwork. Why would I want to do extra reading? And then I started to read the books, and I started to read the content, and I fell in love with the content that the books actually spread.
Yeah, because it's more than just reading. It's characters.
It's learning.
It's life-changing stuff.
It's life-changing.
Yeah. And that kind of goes with if you don't have someone to look at, look up to, like
You know, you can find like role models in anything.
yeah.
And yeah, because there's, I mean, all these different authors, all these different figures of like character,
Good
they're
people.
great role models.
Yeah, and then you could actually use social media in what I like to consider the right way, and you could actually find a role model through that.
Yeah.
Like somebody like who spreads a good message and spreads good stuff throughout this generation, and that's when I feel like you could actually use social media in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Change your For You page. Don't make it this brain rot.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
skibbity toilet.
no, and with you know, finding like good role models, you're not always gonna find the best role models. Like Jaden said about perspective, and how I brought up the story of the dad. He's not the best role model, right?
Yeah.
But you can still learn to not be like him. Take
Yeah.
what's good and discard what's bad from these
Exactly.
bad role models.
Yeah, you can't just
There's
let
still good things you can learn.
you can't just let it judge whether or not you're gonna be an alcoholic because your dad's an alcoholic. You can't let it judge that you're gonna be an alcoholic because your dad's an alcoholic. Is what I
Yeah.
meant.
But yeah, you can't let what other people do affect you.
Yeah.
It's all your choice, and it's
Right.
how you respond and
100%.
you know, change your perspective on these things.
Yeah, and like if you try to find a good role model, because if you don't, then it's gonna be like
It's gonna be that much harder to, you know,
yeah,
learn character.
Yeah.
And along with like role models and stuff, there's also surrounding yourself with good peers.
Oh, yeah.
There's, I don't know if it's Stoic.
I think
I'm
it was
pretty
the Stoics who said it. I think
It might have been the Stoics.
oh,
No,
Wait,
it's you know, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
future. Yeah.
yeah,
And what that means is who you hang out with, who you spend time with,
Who you're around.
Who you're around is going to definitely affect how you are in life. If you hang out with a whole bunch of millionaires or billionaires, what are you going to probably become? You're probably going to pick up on their their work ethic and their different
and you might become
way
a
of
Their
life,
attributes.
and you're
Yeah.
probably going to become a billionaire.
Might be big in
Yeah.
that
So
bank.
I can speak on that.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, Jacob. I mean,
Yeah.
it's big for all of us, but especially for you, man.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is the first year he surrounded himself with us.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
again.
then because when I came here, I had when I was at my old school, I had circumstantial character, and what I mean by that is I had good character when people were watching, but when people weren't watching, I didn't have good character. I was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But just from coming here and surrounding myself with you guys, my character has grown so much. I actually have good character, but not even just that. I could talk on somebody in my family who surrounded themselves with gangbangers, and yeah, so he
how
surrounded.
that affected their life in a bad way.
Yeah, he surrounded himself with gangbangers, and he essentially became one as well.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show that what Devin said. Show me your. I can't.
Show me your friends, I'll
Show your future. Yeah.
But yeah, and then, but yeah, completely. Yeah, if you who you spend your time with and who you hang out with is gonna dictate. That'll also dictate how you are,
100%.
what you'll become in life.
Because
Yeah.
crowds corrupt character.
Crowds
Yeah.
corrupt character. That's 100% true. And I guess going back to role models, if you can't really find a physical role model, there's definitely online role models.
Yeah.
I think we're great role models,
Yeah.
and not just role models, but we could also be peers because
Yeah.
Yeah.
kids our age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can't find a good physical role model, hey, follow the
Right
podcast.
here. Right here.
Yeah.
Watch us right here, the
Right,
podcast.
yeah,
The podcast.
I think it's one of the best role models you could find because we're not just trying to say all these things and tell you what to do. We're trying to grow alongside with you guys and become better people in general with you guys.
100%.
Yeah, because we're not trying to, I'm not trying to say any podcast do this, but we're not trying to be like a podcast where we just
Yes.
spread this message, but we don't apply it to our life. We
Yeah.
apply it to our life.
We practice
and-
what we preach.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
practice what we preach. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so really tune in on this
Yeah, tune in on the
podcast. You know,
podcast.
follow,
Follow, like,
like, subscribe,
Subscribe.
hit the
The
notification
notification
bell,
bell.
and tune in.
see you guys on the next one.